Hey everybody, it's Wydek here again, this time with a set of replays from a best of 3 from the WCS Europe Season 2 group playoffs. And this time on Star Station, so we have spawning in the top left as a Red Heron, representing Spain and Mouse Sports, we have Lucifron. And his opponent spawning in the bottom right, generally regarded as one of the better non-Korean players, spawning as the Blue Zerg, we have Evil Genius's Stephano. And most of you are probably aware, Stephano is currently retired. He wanted to make as much money as he could from Pro Starcraft, so he could divert those resources to going to school. So after these set of replays, he was basically no longer playing StarCraft just after Season 2. So these set of replays and some others are the last games from Stephano, at least for the time being, unless he decides to come back to StarCraft 2. So we'll have to see if there's going to be a spirited effort from the soon-to-be departed Stephano. Now we do have Lucifron opening up with a barracks on the high ground. So he's not being greedy on this map. Now, you remember, Star Station is a 4-player spawning map. So if you wanted to do that sort of play, this is one of those maps where you could probably get away with it. But Lucifron is going for the more steady barracks first build. And he's got a refinery right behind this, and this is a very good candidate for Reapers, as it's only one level to jump up into the main. And you also have to remember, on Star Station, it also has this large jutting out piece for each spawning location, so Reapers can jump up and down, and it's very difficult to have all the scouting in your main base. So that is a very good location for that, and yes, we do have Reapers on the way. Now Stephano does have the hatchery half done at his expansion. He also has a spawning pool and extractor on the way. And it's going to be really key for Stephano, I think, early on to get map control. He really needs to have Zergling speed or a lot of queens to deal with these early Reapers, because it looks like Lucifron is not just going to quit at 1. And remember, on this map as well, Lucifron can totally easily transition to double Hellions as well. And you have to remember, Star Station is a little bit difficult for Zergs in the aspect of, if you want to have creep spread, there's so many directions that your creep has to go. This is one route on the high ground, this is another route. Then when you go to the middle, it splits into 2 directions, and then you also have to go this way as well. And then once again on the high ground and on the low ground. So it is very difficult for Zerg to get that creep spread because there's so many directions. Now Lucifron's Reaper is creating havoc immediately, already in Stephano's base. Now, Lucifron and Stephano are microing very well, so neither player has lost any units yet. But the Reaper does have the range and is constantly being the aggressor, able to pick off 1 Zergling. Now remember, that Reaper does cost 100 resources, so you want to be able to pick off a few more units than that. But unfortunately, with that Queen out, it's going to be very difficult for that lone Reaper. Now he does have a comrade joining him in the ranks, jumping up into Stephano's main, and now they might be able to pick off some more drones. He hasn't been able to pick off any. And once again, here is that location where he's able to jump up and down without being detected. Now, Zergling speed is half completed. And once it is done, it'll be a lot easier for Stephano, excuse me. I don't know why I'm stuttering all of a sudden. It'll be a lot easier for Stephano to defend these sorts of Reaper harass. But until then, the best solution is the range of these queens. Now, he has lost 1 drone currently. Not a huge loss. Not going to determine the outcome of the game, probably. But it's just so annoying as a Zerg player. You have to constantly micro and defend. You're never on the aggressive side of things. So Lucifron, it's pretty good harass, and he's also able to get a scout out while he's doing that, poking in Stephano's base. And now he's transitioning into double Hellions. And actually, he's getting his 3rd command center as well. It's almost finished before the 6.5 minute mark. Now, the Reapers are going to go down. Zergling speed is finished. And Zergling speed makes those Zerglings so much faster than the Reapers. So both Reapers do go down. So if we take a look at resources lost, Stephano is slightly ahead. And with that little bit of momentum, he is going to plop down his 3rd as well, as the Reaper harass is basically over. But the Hellion harass might begin. It looks like Lucifron wants to play it a little bit closer to his base. As with those Zerglings out with Zergling speed, it's difficult for Lucifron to really anticipate what Stephano's going to do. But now he's going to move out. He's got a healthy amount of Hellions. He's got 6 in this contingent. But it's a little bit risky for him because if he does move out, you have to remember, this wall off is not even close to being completed. There's also no bunker and only 1 Marine stationed at home. So this block off is going to be finished here now. So it's going to be a lot easier for Lucifron to run out and not worry about a Zergling counterattack. Now, he does spot that 3rd immediately. We do have 1-1 on the way for Stephano as well. We don't have upgrades for Lucifron yet. He has 2 engineering bays on the way. And this is very common in ZVT, where the Zerg player gets double evolution chambers and actually has the upgrade advantage for a while. But we'll have to see if this game goes in the late game, is whether or not Stephano can actually get to Hive and start 3-3. Because in a lot of games, what'll end up happening is the 1-1 is being researched by the Zerg player, and so he's ahead for the rest of the game until he hits 2-2. Then, for whatever reason, if he's stuck on Lair Tech because he has to commit to Banelings or whatever it might be, then he's not going to be able to upgrade, and then the Terran player advances and gets 3-3 upgrades before the Zerg player does. We'll have to see if that comes into effect in this game as well. Now, Stephano needs a little bit more creep spread, I think. He's able to join the 2nd and 3rd bases now, but he needs a lot more creep if he wants to be successful on this map, because it's so difficult to get all that creep spread around where you adequately need it to be. Now, we do have the Roaches going in for a flank here, but the Hellions are just too fast. 1 Hellion does go down, so good micro by Stephano. At least he's able to pick off 1 more unit. Now, we do have a Baneling's Nest on the way, as well as combat shields for Lucifron. Now, the armory is being constructed as well. We have medevacs already in production, and this is going to make this Terran Armada so much more scary if they're going to be able to drop and come and go as they please. And remember, this area, look at this, even though Stephano has his 3rd base, this area actually doesn't have any vision. So if Lucifron comes over to this side, he could actually drop. Now, we do have a small army of Zergling trying to harass the 3rd base of Lucifron, but there's just so many Hellions here. Some of the Zerglings are going to get burnt down, and that's some Zerg barbecue. I love the disintegration animation. It's just great. But anyways, these Zerglings are trying to poke around here, but with so many Hellions, I think the Zerglings have met their end, and they're all going to go down in a fiery blaze. Resources losses still in favor. Oh, no, actually, it is in favor of our Terran player now. And it looks like Lucifron is moving across the map. He's going to try and make something happen here. There's not that much creep spread, but we do have Banelings forming in the back. Now, the scan does go down, only able to take down 1 tumor. It looks like the Marines are tanking all the damage from the Roaches. The Hellions are supplying additional firepower, but it's not that much against the Roaches, and the Roaches are going to be able to push this back. Now, we do have a double pickup by these medevacs, and they're going to boost away, but where are they going to land? That is the question. It looks like the 3rd base is the prime target. The Queen is the only one defending here, and it looks like Lucifron is going to change his mind and dump on the high ground. Very good choice. He can still fire down on these drones. Now, the Zerglings are streaming in here with combination with the Roaches. Unfortunately, it looks like Lucifron is going to pick up again. So unable to deal with those medevacs. Now, we do have a macro hatch going down for Stephano, but remember, these medevacs are still here. You know, they're not dead. They just kind of flew away just for a little bit, and it looks like they're going to plop right down, right behind this mineral line. Now, we do have a Spore Crawler just to scare away some of those medevacs. The Zerglings are already there, so Lucifron's drop is not going to be that successful. And it looks like the Spore Crawler is actually going to move out. Now, this is a little bit dangerous, because in this position, yeah, he can deal with the medevacs if they're farther away, but if he tries to go around the south side and plant here, the Spore Crawler will be utterly useless. So we'll have to see what Lucifron is going to do with those units. Now, there is another attack happening on the creep. Lucifron is going to pick up once again, and now we have 2-pronged attacks going on here. We have Lucifron to the left, we have Lucifron to the right. Now, it looks like that left army is a lot bigger. That right army is not as big. Only a few Marines left. A few Zerglings have been dispatched to deal with it. Now, it looks like the Evolution Chambers are under attack with only a lone Queen protecting the middle of this doorway. These Evolution Chambers are going to have a tough time. Now, we do have another attack by Stephano. Stephano's just going to come in here. Widow Mines get a great hit on all those Banelings. This 3rd base of Lucifron is under extreme stress. But that bunker is still surviving. Now it's going to go down. Unfortunately, there are still 2 hit squads harassing the natural and the 3rd base of Stephano. So it looks like it might be a base trade, even though they both have over 130 supply. The Roaches are splitting up here. One to deal with the third and one to deal with the natural, but it looks like they're all gonna reassert themselves into the natural. Now, Stephano's base is completely, it looks like, with no drones in the natural. The third is constantly under bombardment, but Stephano is still pushing forward here. The Banelings have been able to break through, and now this SCV supply line is all going to be destroyed, it looks like. Now, Lucifron is holding strong on the top of this ramp, and it looks like these Roaches are going to be repelled back. There's only a few left here. Stephano's not really microing them, and they're all just going to be shot down. And Stephano is now down by 30 supply. I don't think that trade was really worth it. He lost so many miners. Both players have lost a substantial amount of SCVs and drones, so it's not like this is a one-way game of attrition. Both players are losing a lot of miners. Now, Lucifron's still harassing that main base with this medevac drop, and unfortunately, it looks like they'll be dropping on the third. And those Zerglings are not going to be able to get there. Now, the Roaches do have a little bit of range, so even on the high ground, they can spit down. But Lucifron is going to think better and is actually going to just drop north of the creep. So it looks like Lucifron is just continuously harassing, moving up and down, laddering up and down from this cliff. And this is one of the problems when you play Zerg and you don't have really any anti-air. Now, remember what I said about that Spore Crawler, because that Spore Crawler is out of position. It did get some extra hits, but wasn't able to really do anything here. And now it looks like Lucifron is coming in here again with a small attack squad of about 20 Marines. The Widow Mines are already in position, able to take down a few of the mines. But all the Banelings have been melted away, so now Lucifron is going to have to recollect himself. And still, he's got a small hit squad here, picking up and dropping off constantly. And you cannot discount the fact that there is a Marine and Marauder left just constantly shooting at drones. And if you're not paying attention, they'll be able to kill a few drones every few moments. He's actually killed 6 drones with that small pack of Marines and Marauders, so very good control by Lucifron. Now, Stephano hasn't finally been able to repel these attacks, but there's still 2 medevacs dropping off on this 4th base. The drones are under attack. One more does go down. The Marines are surrounded, but once again, immediately picked up. And Lucifron is just microing so well with these medevacs and giving Stephano so many places and things to think about. And now he's going to dump on the high ground again, and it's going to take a while to rally his forces. And at the same time, while he's doing that, Lucifron is moving across the map. This 4th base is going to be easy pickings. There are no units here defending it. Now the Widow Mines are going to burrow as well, and that's going to give additional firepower and protection for these Marines and Marauders. And it's very difficult for Stephano to really decide what to defend. Remember, this medevac is still here full of Marines. Now Lucifron is just attacking at the fort. Roaches and Zerglings are rushing in here, trying to deal with all these Marines. And here we go, another drop at the 3rd with that same medevac. Now it is taking a lot of damage from that Spore Crawler, but the Marines are just cleaning up house. That Spore Crawler is going to be finished. And also at the 4th base, there are no drones mining. I don't think Stephano can come back. He's down by 70 supply. And remember what I said about the upgrades. Already 3-2 for Lucifron, and unfortunately now Stephano does have Hive, so he is getting 3-3 now, but the upgrade advantage has now been switched over to Lucifron. So even though Stephano had the upgrade advantage for most of the game, now Lucifron does have better attacks. And his armor will upgrade sooner than Stephano's as well. Stephano really needs a 4th base because Lucifron's been so stable on 3. Now, Lucifron's 3rd is really close to being empty, and he's landing a 4th command center to collect more resources. Stephano's 4th still hasn't really been set up. It's been taken out once, but he really needs a 4th base to get set up, but he's so behind in supply, it's difficult for me to imagine how he's going to come back. Now, how can he come back? Lucifron can make a lot of mistakes. Or maybe if Stephano gets a lot of good Baneling connection, that could really turn it around. But unfortunately, there's not that much anti-air here, so Lucifron basically has free reign, dropping up and picking up the Marines anywhere he wants to. And now it looks like Lucifron is going to be distracting Stephano again on the left side of this creep with the Marines. And going to be dropping off in the main as well. The Zerglings are getting shot up. They have all been destroyed with only a Lone Queen protecting it. Now, Stephano is totally being preoccupied by this left flank attack, and unfortunately, he's going to be moving the Roaches back into the main, but the Marines have already done so much damage, killing so many more drones, killing 20 more in the last few minutes, and that left side attack still hasn't been dealt with. And this is one of the main weaknesses when you're going for an entirely ground Zerg army. Because unless you have lots of queens or you have fungal growths, you can't deal with the pickup and the drop-off of the Medivacs. And Lucifron has just been doing it so aggressively and so well the entire game. And now that Lucifron has his 4th base up and running, Stephano still really hasn't sent any drones over to this 4th base. And these Medivacs are just so effective. If you take a look at resources lost, Stephano is really, really hurting in that category. And Lucifron does have 3-3 as well. And is this going to be the final attack of the game? He's up by 73 supply. This might spell the end of our French Zerg. He's going to have a tough time dealing with this attack, especially with no fungal growths. Ultralisks are strong, but if they are continuously kited away by stimming Marines and Marauders, they're not that effective. And so that 4th hatchery does go down, not even mining any minerals from that base. And Stephano only has a few Ultralisks. He has some roaches as well. He has 1 infestor, it looks like, in this army. Yeah, a single infestor, so that's a lot of units of fungal growth with 1 infestor. And Lucifron is now setting up the perimeter. Now, 3-3 is finished for Stephano, but his army is just so tiny compared to his Terran opponent. The Widow Mines are getting free hits on this Ultralisk as well. It's going to get blown up for free, basically. Marines and Marauders are kiting away off the creep. Remember, you don't want to face Zerglings on the creep. Ultralisks are fighting valiantly. Unfortunately, the fungal growth does go down, but it's not able to do that much damage. The Ultralisk does have 10 kills, but there's only 2 Ultralisks here. Lucifron is trying to fall back here. He's still got a few Marines and Marauders just kiting perfectly. And now it looks like the pickup is going to happen with the Medivacs. And Stephano is going to have to retreat. So once again, the Medivacs are playing a key role. When you don't want to engage against Ultralisks and Zerglings, you just pick up and you just go home. Now this 1 infestor is going to blow up. Now once again, the Medivacs are playing a crucial role. They're just picking up and just jetting off whenever they want. And whenever you allow Terran players to do this, basically they dictate the entire game because they dictate when the encounters happen. If you can't hit the Medivacs can just float there indefinitely. They can pick up units instantly, all 8, go into the Medivac instantly, or they can drop off on higher ground, and then your Zerglings and Ultralisks can't do anything about it. So it's very difficult for Stephano to do anything about this. He's just too far behind. Lucifron has just played a beautiful game, constantly kiting away against the Ultralisks, starving Stephano. Stephano's 4th base is still not set up. We've got actually a lone Marine with Stim poking away at it. And we've got a confrontation near the natural of Stephano's. But unfortunately, it looks like Lucifron has just too many Marauders here. Now, Zerglings are going to be able to surround these Marauders, but are they going to get picked up by Lucifron again? We still have a large army coming down, but Stephano realizes it's pointless. He's down to 50 supply. And so Lucifron is going to take game 1 of this best of 3. So not a really great game by Stephano. I really felt like he could have did a lot better if he got some anti-air. I'm a really big proponent of getting anti-air, something like Bulis or a lot of Queens, Hydralisk maybe, to deal with Medivacs. Because in games where I see the Terran player go totally unopposed in the sky with a whole bunch of Medivacs, I can't remember the last game where a Terran lost. I'm sure it's happened, I'm sure it can happen, but I really think it puts you in a precarious situation when your opponent can go up and down between your 3rd and 1st. They can go up and down between your natural and 1st. They can drop here and then wait out in the sky, distract you with another attack force, and then pull that Medivac back into your main. Without anti-air, it's very difficult, I think, because you give all the initiative to the Terran player. So we'll have to see in game 2 if Stephano can rectify a strategy, figure out a way to beat Lucifron, and force a game 3. And I will see you guys next time.